There was no geographical, geopolitical continuity like British and India, but there was a link of political authority. In the Cold War, the world were divided into two. Therefore, natural zones were alienated from each other by an ideological difference. We had South Yemen, North Yemen, as if they lived together throughout the centuries as two different entities. Suddenly, they became part of two different blocks. This has affected all the politics. Now, after the collapse of the Cold War, the real forces are re-emerging in political sense, but at the same time, there's an issue of, because of the change of technology, be disappearing. But today, there's a question of economic order. How will be the relation between North and South, between developed countries and underdeveloped countries or developing countries, as Turkey next year will be hosting a summit, least developed countries summit. And in this summit, we will be having all the leaders of least developed countries in Turkey. We need to have a new approach in politics and the many organizations we have to respond to this issue. Also, there is a question of cultural order. Let me share my experience about, after finishing my PhD, I was invited to Malaysia to be a lecturer. It was very attractive moment for me. At that time I was invited, I had another offer from the United States. I preferred to go to Malaysia, not because I didn't prefer United States, but at that time I was writing a book on civilizations, and Malaysia was like a laboratory for me. Indian, Chinese, Muslim, modern civilization were living together, what they have imagined in the past. And these are not compatible, but before anything, we want to be a positive factor in the future of humanity. And that's my mission as Minister of Foreign Affairs and as an intellectual and world citizen. Thank you very much.
So I will call on people with questions moving in this order. We have 4 microphones. For those of you who are new to our forum, we have 3 characteristics of a good question. The first is, please introduce yourself, your name, and your affiliation. Please keep your question short.
I'm a freshman at Harvard College. I wanted to ask about how public opinions shape the making of foreign policy and international relations in general. Like, for example, in the case of the Mavi Marmara incident, a lot of Turkish people felt aggravated. How does the feelings of the Turkish people affect the day-to-day making of your foreign policy?
Sometimes positive, sometimes negative impact of public opinion. And we are accountable governments. We cannot be just independent from these feelings of the people. I can give you 2 examples of our foreign policy and the public feelings. One is about our relation with Syria, for example. Recently, during the referendum campaign, I went to Antep and Kilis, Gaziantep and Kilis. They were the borders. It is really, it was a humanitarian problem. Why? Because the families were divided between Turkey and Syria when it is not a natural border. I know one Turkish intellectual. His one auntie, his grandfather, had 2 daughters. One daughter went to the relatives in Syrian side before this territory was drawn. And suddenly, when the territory was drawn, she stayed there for many years. His grandfather looked to the horizon that one day his daughter would come back. That daughter did not come for 60 years. And during religious days, people were not going to each other. They were throwing the gifts over the border. To have this Caucasian platform for cooperation and stability. One day, I am sure, a car